What is one AI tool or strategy every small trades business should start using today?
Using it to write emails, or you're using it to write your social media posts. Normally you would have a human, a dispatcher that would, have a list of, the technicians sitting on their desk and who can do what and who can't do what, where they are for the day. This is all happening behind the scenes through AI. So that's huge.
Where are you seeing companies use AI in operations?
They were taking information from the job and uploading it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was writing the exactimate estimate for them.
Should I be worried about losing my job to AI?
AI won't replace you, but a person who knows how to use the AI will.
A lot of discussing puppies and rainbows and AI is the greatest thing, but there are some real challenges and risks. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Violand Management GPS podcast, where we cater to owners, decision makers, and professionals in the trades. And what we want to talk about are different ways in which you can help grow yourself, grow your team, and grow the business. We've got a really interesting discussion today, as AI is the hot topic in every industry, at every convention you go to right now. And what we wanted to do was take a deeper dive into how small businesses in the trades are using AI to grow, to get better, to be more profitable, and to step out from the competition. And joining me today is a man I have known for 25-ish years. He was a lot younger when I first met him, but was always very wise. And it's my longtime friend and former slash maybe current boss. Not totally sure how all that works out, but it is John Monroe, Violand business coach, advisor, and my co-host for the Violand Happy Hour presentations, if you've ever seen any of those. But John, thank you for joining us today. It's been a long time, and I'm looking forward to another 40-ish minutes with you.
Yeah, it's great to see you, Jeff. And gosh, 25 years. Actually, then in that case, I think I've known you half your life, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. I would have been around 21, 22 when we met, so probably even a little bit more
A
than
little
that.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
So I feel like I'm aging myself
You
right there, but
are.
that's okay. So what you got here are two middle-aged men talking about AI. And what's crazy about that is if we can figure this thing out, anybody can figure this thing out. And so you especially are a walking example of it isn't that hard, but it is that important. So with that, let's dive into this. I got a whole bunch of questions for you in ways that people are using it in the different core functions in their business. And I am sure that you're going to have some outstanding answers that are going to help people walk away with some exciting new ways to use it. So first, can you go into right now, why is this the right time? Why should a small business in the trades invest in AI and learn it and figure out how they can use it to make a difference in their business?
Jeff, I mean, right now for a small business, you can't, as a small business, you can't afford not to be using AI. If you want to stay competitive in the market, you have to be looking at AI and using it in every aspect of your business. AI is just about, matter of fact, most people probably don't even realize they're using AI in some cases. Anymore. Think about Google. I mean, Gemini. If you go to Google anymore and you type in, give me an answer to something, instead of giving you just a list of different websites to go to, Gemini pops up and it gives you a generic answer or somewhat of a AI generated answer. So AI is already being used by most people. The key is actually implementing it into your business. And Jeff, as we were talking last week with the Sales Happy Hour group, I think the two biggest important parts understanding AI is you use it either as a co-pilot or you use it as a co-thinker. The co-pilot is, Jeff, where you are using it to write emails, or you're using it to write your script for this presentation, or you're using it to write your social media post. the co-thinker, this is where it really becomes valuable to business owners. So many business owners are kind of on an island, right? Unless, of course, they hire Violand and they get a consultant. Well, then, they've got somebody to talk to and help coach them through things. Well, you can also use AI as a co-thinker, and you could throw it a question and say, hey, I want you to act as my business partner, and I want you to walk me through why I should not make or purchase this particular vehicle, or why I shouldn't buy this business. I mean, it allows you to do that kind of discussion. So yeah, I see AI as a very, very important part in small business today.
So let me take a different direction in this. Before we dive into where people are using this thing into, AI is only as good, I think, as the prompt that you give it.
Absolutely.
And let's talk for a second here on what is a prompt and how do you do a proper prompt in all the different areas?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Most people today, and look, this is where, and we're going to talk a little bit about this later on. But is AI scary? And I think a lot of people, and I've been doing this informal survey every time I talk about AI in front of groups, and it's interesting that you'll find the 40 and under crowd is using AI just about for everything anymore. The over 40 is probably either A, not using AI, or B, they're using it, but they don't know really how to use it. And that is because of the prompts. And the key to getting good value out of AI is giving it a good question or statement as to how you want it to help you. I'll give you a perfect example. I can just say, tell me about Jeff Jones. Okay, well, that's kind of generic and very, going to be challenging to really get a lot out of. However, I can say, I want you to tell me about Jeff Jones and what are some things that he is known for. What is his business known for? To give me some insight on questions that I should ask Jeff if I'm planning on meeting you for the first time this week. Give me some questions that I should ask Jeff that relate to his business. And you can really get into a good discussion with AI if you give it enough prompts. Here's the other side of that, Jeff. You don't like the answer you get the first time around? Keep asking, right? I mean, keep building on the question. Don't just stop and say, oh, I don't like that answer. Yeah, no, you got to keep building on it. So
Give you an example of what that looks like. One of the sessions we did earlier was with Randy Anderson, who owns a Roto-Rooter franchise, helped design fighter jets prior to becoming a plumber. And John knows Randy a lot better than I do, a lot longer than I have. So I asked John for some help when I was doing some research into Randy, and John used chat. And all of the notes that he came over to me were things that he found, and it sent me like links to videos that he had done in the past and all sorts of stuff that would have taken forever to find out. 2 years ago, I used Google for everything. And Google took me to places where I had to go see if I could find the right answer. Chad just gives me the answer.
yeah.
And that's a game changer. That's an absolute game changer. So let's dive into different areas that you're seeing businesses in restoration and plumbing, HVAC, and other trades using AI right now. And I think, as always, there's a lot of different areas of the company, but we can all agree by far the single most important part of the company is sales and marketing, because we're the best. And so let's start where we should, at sales and marketing. So how can AI help contractors generate more leads and convert more sales?
Yeah, oh wow, Jeff. I mean, that's kind of a lot right there. I can be honest with you that I have been doing this quite frequently anymore. Used to you'd go to LinkedIn or even Google and you'd say, give me a list of all the plumbers, or give me a list of all the insurance agents, or give me a list of all the property management companies in my area. And then you'd give it the city, or you'd give it that kind of location. With AI, I can actually go in and I can say, and look, Jeff, I'm going to use ChatGPT because that's the one I subscribe to and I pay for it. So I'm going to continue to talk about ChatGPT. But, I also run Claude and Perplexity also. And, all three, though, will give you a lot of good answers. But let's talk about ChatGPT. And what I end up doing is I put in a chat and I say, pull me all of the insurance agents in this zip code. And I want you to tell me about how long they've been in business and tell me something about their business that I should know if I'm going to go call on them this week or next week. What should I know about their business? And I'm telling you, it doesn't just give me their website like Google used to do. It gives me a whole synopsis on this client or this potential referral partner that I'm going to call on. It gives you a lot of detail. The other side of it, and this is my favorite, and this is one of the things I've been teaching in my sales class, is I then can say to ChatGPT, create me 3 questions to ask Jeff Jones, insurance agent, based on his business and based on what you have found about Jeff. Give me 3 good questions that I should ask Jeff based on the insurance industry and based on his business. And ChatGPT will come back with 3 solid open-ended questions to ask you or ask the person that I'm going to be meeting with. So I think that's a huge aspect. Jeff, if I can, let me touch a little bit on HubSpot, one that we actually use. And I'm a huge proponent, as you are, in the CRM space, right? I mean, good salespeople cannot do their job without a solid CRM. And we have started here at Violand using HubSpot as our CRM, and it actually has AI built into it. It has an AI called Breeze Copilot, not to be confused with Microsoft Copilot. And it will analyze our conversations we've had. It will analyze any emails, any notes, any phone calls, text, anything that you and I have had communication with. It will analyze. And Jeff, if I'm keeping up with HubSpot and putting your numbers, your information in there as far as how much business you've given us and so forth, it will analyze and tell me what should be my next conversation with you, or what should be my next move, or what should I be doing to get our relationship further down the line. That's the power of AI.
I think there's a misconception in that because we all see Facebook posts where you can tell that was AI generated, and we all get emails that you can just tell are cut and copy AI, just lifeless. And you look at it and you see it and say, I never want to do business with that person. But what you're saying is there are tools and there are strategies where AI doesn't have to be cold. It doesn't have to be generic.
Absolutely, Jeff. I can tell you, if you get an email from me today and I have not written it, I do not write any of my emails anymore. And here's again, we're going to go backwards a little step here, and that is in the prompts. And also, remember, I paid for ChatGPT. So I have set it up and said, this is my persona. I want you to write in this format. I can tell it to write as an 8th grader, or I can tell it to write as a Harvard graduate. I give it the prompts, give it the direction of the type of email I want and the way I want it. Matter of fact, ChatGPT all the time finishes it with best regards, drives me batty, right? And I don't think I've ever sent an email and said best regards. So
Nope.
yeah, right. I mean, come on. So I took and I told her, I said, I do not want you to put best regards at any point in my emails. You need to leave it either as John, or my favorite saying is good selling. And so, yeah, she does not write that anymore as best regards. But again, you have to, and that's only in the paid version. And you do have to save your chats so that she can reference them, or go back and reference them when you're writing anything in there. Social media posts, same way, Jeff. I don't write any social media posts anymore. I use ChatGPT for everything.
So almost like Inception, where you have a dream within a dream. Can you go into AI if you're not comfortable with how to write a prompt?
Yeah.
Can you go into AI and tell it to write the type of prompt you want it to write, so it writes it for itself, so it writes what you want?
Absolutely, you can. That's another great one. I think the terminology is a prompt engineer, right? I heard that one last week in our sales happy hour, and so I think that's a great concept. Matter of fact, I have not tried that one yet, but that is on my high to-do list this week, is to have it write prompts. So, ChatGPT, I've given you this prompt, but you're not giving me what I want. Here's what I'm looking for. What prompt should I be asking you? Or what way should I be asking you this question? And again, ChatGPT is going to interact with you just, I hate to say this, but like a human. It's going to interact with you. So yeah, it is not human, by the way,
So let's leave the amazing, wonderful world of sales
though.
and dive deep in with the grumpy people in operations. And we all know them because they're all drinking coffee 24 hours a day, just frown on their face, hands are dirty, smell weird. That's the operations group, but we do need them. So where are you seeing companies use AI in operations and in job management?
Oh boy, we do these peer groups with different restoration companies, and actually, we also do it with plumbers, as you know. And Service Titan, I'll bring that one up. I'm not here to promote products, but in particular, Service Titan has a very strong AI built into it, and AI is able to help schedule and also minimize drive time. It will it actually, without human interaction, it will predict where your plumber needs to go, what is the best route to set him or her up on, and based on the tech's experience, it will schedule them for certain jobs only. This is all AI in the background operating. Normally you would have a human, a dispatcher, that would have a list of the technicians sitting on their desk and who can do what and who can't do what, where they are for the day, and then they're going to have to pull up Google Maps and figure out where they are and schedule them. This is all happening in Service Titan behind the scenes through AI, so that's huge. Let's switch over to the other peer groups that we had, and we actually had this exact situation where we had a client that was taking all of their job information, a restoration company, and they were taking all their pictures, they were taking all their scopes, they were taking all their drawings, information from the job, and uploading it into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT was writing the Xactimate estimate for them. Now, it's not going to put it into the Xactimate form, but it will give you the codes. It will give you the proper documentation, the way it should be listed. Yeah, it's very powerful. One of the other things, you and I were talking about this at a convention, and I was giving this as a tip, and we've got a few clients that do this. You get an adjuster that sends you over their estimate, you've written an estimate, the two of them don't match. Now you're responsible for figuring out, okay, where did the adjuster make the adjustments? Throw both of them into ChatGPT, and within seconds will give you what parts of the estimate the adjuster made adjustments on, how much, where, and give you any supporting information as to why they maybe made that change. Again, very, very powerful. I mean, normally that kind of analysis, standard 35-page estimate would take somebody probably, I don't know, an hour, hour and a half, and in 2-3 minutes, ChatGPT has gotten your answer for you.
I think a lot of times when you see these debates going back and forth with the adjusters, emotions get in the way.
Yeah.
Because you work really, really hard in these industries in plumbing, HVAC, and restoration. And this is money that you're earning for your business, for your family. And then some goofball just decides they want to mess things up. And it is emotional. And I think it's really nice to have a tool that will pull the emotion out of it and say, okay, let's come back to the logical side of it. And here is how we're going to come back and get our money without name calling. And there's a lot of power to that. That's a great tool.
It is a great tool. And Jeff, this kind of extend on this when we were at a peer group a couple of weeks ago in Chicago, and they do a lot of third-party administrator work, and they have certain requirements in order to do work with a particular carrier. There's manuals written as to what they can and can't write into their estimate. And we took an estimate that they had, one of the members had submitted. We inputted it into ChatGPT. We then put the manuals that the carrier and the third party administrator had given us as to what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable. We said to ChatGPT, okay, find all of the areas in my estimate that I have not included line items that I am allowed to include.
Hmm.
Well, ultimately, we increase the estimate, right? And then, secondly, then we said, okay, find all of the areas where we are not in compliance with the standard and that we're going to get flagged on. And again, it found all of those and said, you need to probably either take these out or you need to have, and it gave us suggestions on documentation that we would need to justify or substantiate that charge. Oh, I mean, it literally in minutes, it's giving us this information, things that would take a human being, hours probably to come up with.
Right. So we were up at the top with sales and marketing. We brought ourselves down to mess with the operations. Let's pick ourselves back up and go back to accounting and finance. We love accounting and finance because they make certain we get our commission. So we absolutely love the people who are over there. What AI tools are available to help with bookkeeping or forecasting cash flow or anything to make yourself understand the finances a little bit better?
Majority of the small business owners out there today are using QuickBooks. And matter of fact, QuickBooks has been pressing for the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years now. Again, and I'm not here to sell products, but QuickBooks has been pressing their client base or most of us to move away from desktop version and go to online. And yes, it is going to cost you a little bit more because you got to pay a subscription fee. However, QuickBooks now has AI built into it and very strong tool. Matter of fact, I've got lots of clients now using this particular tool, QuickBooks Online, and that is the AI function that will take a picture of your receipt. You then upload it into QuickBooks, and AI will now look at your credit card receipt, and then it will look at your credit card statement, and it will marry them up or match them up inside of QuickBooks and save. Think about it, a bookkeeper a lot of time trying to match up charges against a piece of paper that's been sitting on the dashboard and it's faded or got Coca-Cola stains on it or whatever else, right? All the technician has to do or the salesperson has to do is take a picture of it and boom, load it into QuickBooks and it matches up the expense. A really, really powerful tool. But to go the other side of this, Sage also another platform that a lot of our clients use. And Sage is a little more robust than QuickBooks, but Sage also has AI built into it. So a lot of different opportunities to use AI in both of those. Not to say that ChatGPT can't do a little bit for you, and this is a really cool tool. I'll take a client's financials, I'll remove their name from their financials, and make sure there's no bank accounts or anything like that on it. And I can upload your financials into ChatGPT, and I can say to ChatGPT, again, we come back to those prompts, please review this P&L for me or balance sheet or both and tell me where can we make improvements in our business based on what you're seeing. And again, I can ask it for also, if I'm play the role of the accountant and tell me what areas you as my accountant would make changes on my P&L, or what recommendations do you have based on you playing the role of my accountant?
So you're almost getting like a fractional controller at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Jeff. Yeah.
With that, so AI now is able to help detect billing errors, missed invoices, create suggestions for you, dive deep into the numbers and say, let's look at this, or this seems out of whack. Do you see AI then as a viable replacement for a bookkeeper or CPA, or do you see it as more of a supplement?
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast. Sorry, Jeff, it wasn't yours. I was listening to a podcast last week on my flight back home from Detroit, and it was Mark Benioff from Salesforce. And Mark was talking to an interviewer about where AI is going to be over the next 5 to 10 years. And right now, Jeff, AI is a supplement. Okay, it is not a replacement of a human being. We still need. It's not powerful enough just yet to replace your accountant or your bookkeeper. Is the time coming when that's possible? Yeah, I truly believe it will be, and I think it's sooner than we realize. But as of today, as the old saying goes by Mark Twain, the death of a accountant or the death of a bookkeeper is not at hand today. So, yeah.
Just real quick, if Liz, the staff accountant here at Violand Management, is watching it, those were John Monroe's words. I love you, and I think you are absolutely amazing and indispensable. I want that on the record for all to hear. John can dig his own grave.
Wow. I
But,
guess my check's not going to show up next week.
yeah. So, thank you for taking the time to listen to Violand's GPS podcast. I hope you're discovering valuable insights and practical wisdom to guide you on your journey. The 2025 Violand Executive Summit will take place on June 23rd and 24th in Canton, Ohio. This event features 12 advanced business courses to choose from, covering topics such as performance management, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, results-driven selling, business financials, and much more, combining collegiate and real-world education from world-class instructors, all customized to small businesses in the trades. It's also a fantastic opportunity to network with inspiring professionals like those featured on the GPS podcast. Don't miss out. Register today at violand.com or use the links provided on the screen or in the description. Now, let's get back to our show. I hate to do this because we're up high with our friends in accounting, and we've already hung out with our friends in sales. We dipped down for operations, and now I got to take you to the lowest of the low and just a buzzkill in the business. We're going to go talk about those people
Oh,
in human resources.
oh.
First, I want to know what happened in their life that made them want to go into human resources, but we're gonna go past that, give them the benefit of the doubt here, and say and just ask, how can AI help small business owners hire or vet candidates more effectively?
Well, Jeff, if we want to talk about the first area that will probably go by the wayside with AI, this job will probably be the quickest and easiest to be replaced. Yeah, there you
That is music to my ears, my friend. That is music right there. I love it. All right, let's dive into this one now.
Yeah. So, boy, I tell you, there's a lot of opportunity here in AI and in human resources. Matter of fact, Jeff, I saw you did an interview for one of your clients that you're working with, and I hope you used AI to get some good questions because. Here's what I'm doing. I'm taking my job description or the client's job description, then I turn around and upload the potential candidate's resume into ChatGPT. And by the way, there is no concern doing that because they post that out on Indeed and all the other platforms out there. So you're not giving away somebody's private information. And what I do is I upload both and then I turn around, write a good prompt and say, please analyze my job description against this candidate and find where the candidate is not measuring up or their resume doesn't seem to appear to have enough experience or they're overqualified or what is their resume showing against my job description and what are some questions open-ended. And then look, again, you can say I need 5 good open-ended questions or I need 10 good open-ended questions. Give me 2 that are behavioral based, 3 that are on sales based or HR based, whatever the case may be. Again, be specific in your prompts and ChatGPT will make you look amazing in an interview in seconds. It'll come back and give you 5, 10 questions, whatever you're looking for. So that's a huge, powerful tool built in. The other side, though, is this one, and I've talked a lot about this. A couple peer group members are using this platform, Monday.com. You can set up training programs within it, and therefore the AI will track and let your new candidate or new employee know where they are in the training program and are they keeping up. because it will ask them questions, in regards to, what have you accomplished? Where are you in the training program? And every time you put in that information, it's saying either, hey, you need to be doing more, or you're behind the schedule on our training program, or maybe we need to review something based on your answers. Again, it's very easy to track compliance of our onboarding process.
Yep. A lot of because you have to be at a certain dollar figure for your business to hire an HR manager where it's going to make sense. So a lot of time it's going to be either the owner or the office manager that is going to handle this responsibility, and they don't have all the training that a professional HR person has. So it's things like onboarding and employee training, compliance tends to fall by the wayside and not done correctly because we're just so busy with other things. Are you seeing clients use it in those areas?
Oh my gosh, yes. Jeff, again, how many of our clients request us to send them a job description anymore, right? I mean, everybody, that's probably one of our most sought after requests is a job description. I hate to say this, Jeff, but our job descriptions are going to become obsolete because ultimately you can go to ChatGPT and say, give me a job description, or you can take the Violand job description, upload it into ChatGPT and say, these are the additional things that I require of my lead technician, or this is the additional items I require of my CSR or bookkeeper. And ChatGPT will add those in there for you. So, again, those are huge. Matter of fact, I've got a client right now that is writing their employee handbook. Now, again, as much as this pains me, I'm going to say be careful here. HR would probably be best if you make sure you get an HR attorney or somebody that is experienced in your area, your state, as far as HR rules and regs. And not rely specifically just on ChatGPT. It can make mistakes. And so you do need a human being to actually help you make sure that it is written correctly.
Yeah, just to give a real world example for that, we actually had a guy come in who helped build Microsoft Copilot and did a presentation for us. And he pulled up a well known AI platform. And this was maybe in late March that he did this. And he asked it, who is the president of the United States? And it replied Joe Biden in late March of 2025. And it didn't do that because of some political statement or anything behind all of that. It did it because it hadn't been updated since October of the previous year. So it didn't know. It gave you the right answer 5, 6 months ago because that's who it thought that it was. So you do have to be very careful when you get this information to make certain that it is up to date, especially when you get into the HR issues between states, because running HR in California is very different than running it in Iowa and other areas of the country.
Absolutely. And Scott Tackett, by the way, does not know HR law in California.
He does not know it in California, no matter what he says. And if you say that to him, you will watch the remaining 4 hairs on his head fall off. So, and he'll get very, very red in the face. He will argue that all day long. So let's leave HR and let's go back to something else incredibly important. I know, the customer. Let's take it back to the customer. And when you get busy and you have a lot of work going on or you're short staffed, what falls apart first is communication. And it really gets bad when you lose that communication with the customer who's going through whether a pipe has burst or they've got a flood or it's the middle of summer and the air conditioner's out. They need answers right away. Where are you seeing people use AI to help improve communication with customers before, during, and after a job?
Oh yeah. We just had a company on our sales happy hour talk about hiring or buying a platform that answers the phone and sounds very realistic. And look, we've all had this experience and this is not a new technology. It's been around for a little while, the AI answering system, but it is getting more and more powerful as time and quickly. So think about it. It saves you time. You got your CSRs, 2 of them in your office, and they're both on the phone taking all sorts of phone calls. And do you let that third phone call ring or just let them hang up? Or how do you handle that? I mean, have an AI system in the background. And if it can answer the phone and sound just like all your people in your office, matter of fact, the company that was telling us said they even got the thing to have a Southern twang to it, right? I mean, that's where the AI is going today. And so I think that's a time saver. Look, writing emails, as I said, Jeff, it takes me forever to sit down and write an email. I don't do that anymore. I just quickly tell ChatGPT, or I give you a ChatGPT your email, and I say, write me a response to Jeff Jones's email and tell him no, he's crazy. I'm not doing that, right? And then it puts it in a good term so that it doesn't say you're crazy, and it says, Jeff, you're a great guy, but yeah. So,
Goes back to the days when you were my sales manager right there, John. Well, you're just a good guy, but boy, you make really dumb decisions. Thanks, John.
yeah, there you go. Another one that matter of fact, I got to actually see this in use last week. We were up, Chuck Violand and myself were up at Chet's Cleaning in Detroit, and I was watching their CSR, Kelly train a new CSR, and they use Podium, and Podium has a built-in AI function to it. And matter of fact, Podium, everybody thinks of it as getting star ratings or reviews. It actually is a communication platform beyond that, and you can actually send text to customers. So what it can do is it reads your schedule and then sends the customer a notice via text that, hey, your technician is on the way. So it's reading what the status of your tech is. He or she has just finished the job and you're next on the schedule, and it texts you and says, hey, John's on his way to your home. So again, these are the powerful tools. Think about that for a small business. These kind of applications. I mean, you can only dream of big companies using this. I'll tell you the last one, Jeff, and I love this one the best, is training your salespeople or training your technicians. How many of us dread role playing with people? And
Mm-hmm.
both the person that plays the opposite side as well as the role player. And here you can turn on, if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, I can actually have a conversation with it just like you and I are having, and it will prompt me and say, you're doing good, Jeff, you're really interacting with me really well, and give you that, and then it'll say you need to close at this point. So it's helping you or teaching you how to be a better salesperson or a better technician. And I just had a client out in Oklahoma talk about this, and they've instituted it into their training program.
I've got one of my clients doing that right now with their sales reps working on insurance agents and trying to figure out how differentiators work with insurance agents. I'm doing that role play with it.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of discussing puppies and rainbows, and AI is the greatest thing ever. But there are some issues with it. And it isn't necessarily that it's going to become the Terminator and become the end of mankind. It probably won't. But there are some real challenges and risks. We did talk about one earlier, that sometimes the information may not be fully updated, or may not be complete, or may not be exact to your situation or your state. But where do you see other areas that you need to watch out for when it comes to adopting AI tools, specifically with privacy and data?
Yeah, Jeff, I'm going to contradict you there. I say yes and thank you and please to my Chat GPT.
You know, they told you not to do that, though, right?
Yes,
It's costing them millions. They said specifically, John Monroe, please stop saying please. It is costing us millions of dollars. It's just a machine. It's only doing math.
I advise everybody to watch the Terminator this weekend.
Uh-huh.
Just remember Karen.
Well,
Yeah.
agree to disagree, but
But yeah, no, that is great. Yeah, the one thing, first off, the one thing I would highly recommend is never ever, and I do this, I live by this rule, is never copy and paste anything you've received from ChatGPT and just send it off without editing it. you do need to look at it, and do need to make sure that it's saying what you want it to say, because AI does make mistakes. It is a machine. It is not a human being. Matter of fact, it's doing statistical analysis is in the background. It's all based on numbers. Boy, talk about ruining my day. Here, I thought I had a friend in ChatGPT, and somebody, our guy that came and talked to us tells me it's just numbers.
It's just math.
It's just math, right? Yeah.
Goodwill Hunting in computer form, buddy.
And we talked about the fact that you need to make sure it sounds like you, that it sounds like your voice, right? So you need to make sure you do that. And then, of course, the other area, Jeff, and we began to talk a little bit about this earlier when I was talking about the numbers, putting your financials in there. First thing, if you're going to do any type of data into ChatGPT, I would highly, a matter of fact, I would almost require anybody to make sure you have a paid version of the platform. Look, yeah. Google knows everything about us because it's free and we didn't pay for it. And so everything we've been putting into Google for years and years and years, you wonder why it knows who you are. And all of a sudden you're looking at something and you go, man, it's listening to me. No, it just knows based on your searches or whatever you've been looking at. It knows what you like. So Google has a lot of information already on us. ChatGPT or any platform that you use, you need to get a paid version. You also need to go in and you can actually switch it to, there's a switch inside of the settings that says, I do not want my information to be shared as a learning tool for the platform or for the module. So you can go in and you need to make sure you switch that off. And that way, between the paid version and switching that off, you have somewhat an ability to control where your data is going to be. But let's face it, anytime you give something your information, I don't know where it's going to end up. So again, be careful. I definitely would never, ever take my financials and put my account numbers in there for my bank or credit cards or anything like that. You just never know who's going to get hacked or what's going to happen. And so, yeah, I would never do that. The free versions, I would be very, very cautious of putting anything personal in there that you don't want somebody else to know or it to pop up somewhere. It's amazing. ChatGPT is getting smarter every day because I Googled, we were out in California 2 weeks ago and we were talking to a client about AI. And I said, tell me, I don't even use Google anymore. ChatGPT pops up in my Google. And I said, give me some information on Kelly Dolan. And I didn't give it any more prompt than that. And it posted a picture of Kelly Dolan up on my screen. And it gave me information about Kelly Dolan. It didn't used to do that. So it's a machine that's learning and learning very quickly. So again, that's because of everything we're giving it, and so we do want to be careful, Jeff.
So it is trending back to the Terminator, and somebody has to go find John Connor here shortly. Is that what you're telling me? Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, but we're not there yet, so that's good. So, but let's look into the future with this thing. Yeah. Short term, long term. Short term, what is one AI tool or strategy every small trades business should start using today?
Jeff, I would use it simply as a small business just getting into it. I would use it to start simplifying my life by writing emails to people or responses to customers. Look, how many times does somebody write a letter to a customer or write an email to a customer and they put so many grammatical errors in it, spelling errors in it, or they just don't write a solid statement and it sounds like you're mad at the person because you probably are mad at the person, right? And you put your body and your voice into it. You can tell ChatGPT, write this in a calm manner without any overtones of anger, and it'll come back and give you a nice, well-written email to respond to your customer. I think that's the fastest and the easiest way to get comfortable with AI. Really do.
So long-term outlook then, where do you see AI having the biggest impact in the trades over the next 5 years?
Oh, wow. Boy, there's all sorts of rumors out there. I read so much about AI. I'm a huge follower of everything that's going on out there, and there's all sorts of discussions that robots are coming. I may get to actually see the Jetsons in real life before I die. So
I want to get one of those wheels instead of having feet like Rosie had and just cruise all around all day
yeah, there
long.
you go. But I really think that AI. Look, my favorite saying right now is, Jeff, AI won't replace you, but a person who knows how to use AI will. I think 5 years down the road, I think there are going to be some jobs that will be eliminated because of AI. And I think that AI will definitely streamline the service industry tremendously. I think a lot of the back functions that go on in the office will become AI oriented, a lot more so.
Yeah, so you got my thunder there a little bit because my last question was going to be, should I be worried about losing my job to AI? Knowing what your answer was going to be, no, you should be really worried about somebody who knows how to use AI better than you
Yes.
taking the job. But let's go down that for a moment here. So it kind of opens up a different avenue. If that is the case, I remember a couple of years ago when a lot of people in a certain specific trade lost their jobs, and you kind of heard this national calling of, "Well, go learn how to code."
Yeah.
Well, my son is a junior in high school and wanted to get into coding. And guess what he isn't going to do anymore? Coding. Because within 1 year, that industry doesn't exist anymore because AI is doing all of the coding. So if you just spent a year learning how to code, you lost your job again
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
So where do you start to look at long term of what jobs are going to be left? Where are we safe that AI may not get to you? And I think when we talk about the trades, you're in one of the few areas that is very safe moving forward from an operational standpoint.
Yeah, and look, I don't think that the plumber that goes out and hooks up my water line or puts in my faucet, I don't see AI doing that. Here's where I do see AI though. Smart homes. We talk about them. Smart homes are only at the tip of the iceberg right now. I mean, my goodness, I think AI could eventually repair the plumbing in the house without a plumber coming out. I think there will be advances in that. I think that's coming. But again, you're going to need a plumber to come in and put the devices in and install all the devices. So, I don't see that happening in the restoration side and then in the carpet cleaning side. I don't see unless we get robots that start going out and doing the carpet cleaning. I think that AI will integrate into their tools that they're using. I think a carpet cleaner won't have to be doing much of anything anymore other than them pushing a wand because ultimately the computer in the system is going to be putting the right amount of water down, the right amount of making sure the temperature is the right level, making sure the soap is the right consistency. It's going to be analyzing the floor covering, Jeff, and saying this floor covering is not clean. You need to put another wipe or wand over it before you walk out the door. I think that is coming. And I think that's coming fast. I think in the restoration side, look, we've already seen it drive-bys in taking moisture readings. The machines now have computers on them, and you don't have to go into the customer's house anymore. You can do all that, just like the water meter guy out here. He drives by and gets your water amount of use of water or electricity just by driving by and the computer reading. So I think those types of technologies are going to continue to expand and get more involved in our business, our industry. I don't think though the technician is going to go away just yet. I think the office side is probably more the scarier part.
Okay, so operationally, trades are going to be okay. They're always going to be in need. You always need somebody to do the heavy lifting with that. But it sounds like technology is going to be a bigger piece of their life moving forward. So if you want to get ahead of that, you got to start right now. Are there podcasts on this that you're listening to, or different areas that you suggest that you want to go learn?
Oh wow. Yeah, YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go to ChatGTP and ask it?
Yeah, just go to ChatGPT. It'll tell you.
There you
Yeah,
go. There
no.
it goes back to Inception.
Yeah, no. Gosh, Jeff, there's a lot of different subscriptions. The Forbes magazine has a internet magazine that shows up every day, or a newsletter in my morning emails. I'm a huge listener to Superhuman or Khan. He has a ton of information. Matter of fact, he was the guy that interviewed Mark Benioff from Salesforce last week that I was listening to. A lot of different. Morning Brew has some good stuff on AI every day that I take in. Matter of fact, that Khan that I was telling you about, Superhuman, he actually gives you new prompts every day to try out. And so again, I think, Jeff, you just got to kind of just go out there and chat GPT and say, well, what should I be reading today? And get some ideas. I'm reading a ton of books too, Jeff. Everybody has gotten on the bandwagon with writing books on AI, and lots of good stuff out there.
So they're having ChatGTP write books for them, slapping their name on it about,
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, John, I want to thank you very much for your time. Been very informative. We hit a lot of different areas, and clearly you know this stuff inside and out. You're passionate about it. So thank you for your time. I'm going to leave it to you. As you mentioned earlier, you don't happen to watch my podcast, so you're going to be new to this piece. But here, when we do this, I like to have the guest leave off with a closing statement. And I also want to invite everybody to share, like, subscribe to the GPS podcast wherever you're viewing it. And I will pass it back over to you, Mr. Monroe.
Well, I kind of stole my own thunder, I suppose, but I'm gonna end with my favorite quote that I already said, and that is, AI won't take your job right now today. It's not going to take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. And I think that those of us over the age of 40, you got to get on board. This is not the time to put your head in the ground and not pay attention to AI and think it's a fad. I'll say this to you, Jeff, and here's where I'll close. Think about the cell phone. I mean, I remember back when I hired you, I think we were still using the pretty big size hunky dory phones. And
the Nokia brick or whatever that thing was, Nextel brick.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a weapon.
And 25 years later, the cell phone really, other than a camera, I mean, and then now it's a mini computer built into it. But really, it hasn't advanced in 25 years the way AI has advanced in the last 2 or 3 years, and the capabilities of what it can do. Wow. Hang on, folks. AI is coming fast and furious. And I'm telling you, the Terminator is coming. So
there we go. Leave by frightening the audience. Thanks, John. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Violand's GPS podcast. What do you say? Good selling?
Good selling. There you go. Absolutely, Jeff. Good selling.
Good selling, everybody.